Hello, beautiful people. How are you today? How are things happening in your heart? I'm excited to bring you scapegoating. We are going to be checking out scapegoating today. I'm just going to find the video and put it in. So tell me, have you ever been scapegoated? I'm curious to hear. I have experienced it a few times in my life. It's one of the most challenging things to go through. It impacts so many areas of our lives. So let's have a look at it together. So the comments are live. So if you don't want to share publicly, then don't comment. You can comment afterwards in Home for Restoring Love, my free group. But if you comment now, and I'll put my free group in the comments so that you can find it. But if you comment now, it will come up live. So you can go afterwards and find the video and comment on it if you'd like to. The video into the comment. Hi, good to see you. Great. So lovely people. After a harrowing week of scapegoating, I can just feel my energy is shifting because it makes such a difference when you face it, you name it, you see it, you know what it is. And so you know it's not you, it's this dynamic that is going on. But it took me many, many months. I don't know why, because I know what scapegoating is. I can see it when other people are doing it, but when you're in it, you're just thinking, am I wrong? What's going on here? I don't get it. And you try to change it. But when scapegoating is happening, people are making you wrong and they're deaf to what you're communicating. So, and if somebody's just making you wrong, they can't listen to you. And I couldn't get why people couldn't hear me. So in leaving, I'm able to see, that was scapegoating. And suddenly, I've been sharing with folk in Restore, my membership for folk who had adversity in childhood, that I've just been feeling so heavy. I keep saying to them, I just feel so heavy. And suddenly, as soon as I named it with scapegoating and I processed it as scapegoating, everything shifted. Like I've got energy that I haven't had. I was looking at videos I made in July and I was like, there was a very bright person, and all my other energies, I just feel like the life force is sucked out of me. And that's what scapegoating does. So we're going to create a series of videos that are going to be like 10, 15, 20 minutes each. And I'm going to take different questions. And I won't answer many questions now. I'll do a longer Q&A to answer everybody. But I'm just going to go systematically through. Today's going to look at what is scapegoating. Hi, everyone. I have two, the scapegoating going over and over. I was trying to look at the times in my life that I've gone through it. In my childhood, from my family, from different schools, at my first primary school, my second primary school, my secondary school, with students, my secondary school with teachers, my university, my first workplace, then another workplace, then different organizations that I've run. It's just been incredible to see. And so I really want to get to the heart of it so that I can make a difference to all of you and you don't feel you're wrong and bad. We can just understand it. So let's look at what scapegoating is. All right. So scapegoating is when somebody, and if you want to put questions in the comments, you're welcome to do that. And then I will come back later and add them to, we're creating a little question sheet, and I will add them to that. I'm just getting my notes up on the other computer, at least on the other screen. Oh, that's not working. It's not letting me widen it. All right, so let's look at what is scapegoating. I want to be able to see if there are comments on the one thing, and I want to be able to, all right. So what's scapegoating? So scapegoating is when one person bears the blame publicly for something that they didn't do wrong. So they're just busy doing what they're doing, and they get all the negativity put onto them like they're wrong and bad. It's pointing a finger at somebody for doing something that is not their fault. All right. And it's irrational hostility. It's just like it just seems like it blows up from nowhere, and suddenly it's targeted at this one person. Or it can be, not only one person, but one group, one gender, one race, one culture, one country. It isn't just to a person, an individual. It can be a group to an individual. It can be a group to another group. It can be a country to another country, or a whole bunch of countries to one country. It's when somebody is not doing anything wrong and they are made wrong to take the blame and responsibility that other people aren't taking in themselves. So they single out one person or one group for negative treatment. And it can happen often to people who are truth seekers, truth speakers, who might name something that's happening or share something that is going wrong, that brings to light something within the organization, the family, the couple, the friendship, the club, the group, and they will point it out. And because they've pointed out a shadow within the group, the shadow just gets blamed on them rather than other people looking at their responsibility. Because it's far easier to explain your failures as somebody else's issue while maintaining a positive image. I don't have any problem. You are the one that is wrong and bad, and I'm going to list all the reasons why, even though you haven't necessarily done anything wrong. That makes this person wrong and attacks them. It's often somebody who takes on the responsibility, who's doing a lot, who's being proactive, and they will be judged and blamed. So let's have a look at, okay, I don't want to go past 10 minutes. I've got notes, and then I'll do like 2 sections, and then we'll come back tomorrow and do the next 2. So I can really meet you. And if you find this valuable, I'd really appreciate you sharing the video. And next week, is it next week? Or it's the following week, I'm going to be doing, if you have been triggered by this and you want to be able to know how to process it, to work with it, because I've just been through it, so I want to be able to describe how to do it, put TTW in the comments, and then when my Tame the Triggers workshop is ready, I will send you the link. All right, so why do people scapegoat? Let's have a look at this. Well, first, I want to just make sure that you know this, is that people who scapegoat don't do it on purpose. They don't want to specifically scapegoat other people. They generally wish that they didn't know how to do it, at least that they didn't do it, but they're stuck in their patterns and they haven't processed the issues that they have, and they don't know what to do with them. So it's just a defense mechanism that is happening that ultimately they wish that they weren't doing. And they often feel bad or ashamed, or they deny or dismiss and negate what the scapegoat is doing because they don't have the skills to communicate or to process or feel what they're going through and deal with in a healthy way. So that's just what they choose to do because they don't have other options. We're not taught this at school, university, our families. So it's hard for them. So it's really important to know they're not doing it on purpose. But as the person who's being scapegoated, it's hard because you feel like it's purposeful and it feels deliberate. But they don't know what they're doing and they don't know how to do it differently. So let's look at why people do this. Like I said, it's a defense mechanism that people have because of their own insecurities. So they're feeling insecure, and it's easier to put it on somebody else than look at what these insecurities are. You know, sometimes we have issues within ourselves that feel so huge. They feel like huge, big monsters, and they're too scary to look at. So instead of looking at them, we just go, "You're wrong. But if we really looked at the parts within ourselves, we'll see that they are just hurt parts that are orphaned, that are screaming for love, for kindness, for attention. But because they feel overwhelming and scary, we put the blame and the upset onto somebody else. But if we faced them, we would find that they're just like little orphan parts that are hurting, that need to be listened to, loved, heard, and met. But when we blame them on somebody else, we put a barrier and a wall up to our own processing, and we can't see it. That's exactly it. Let's blame somebody else because I don't know what to do to make myself feel good. But it's not only that I don't know how to make myself feel good, it's also there are things in myself that I don't feel good about and I don't know how to work through. And it just feels so intense. So I'll put it on you, and then I will feel relief and feel better about myself. And then I'll go, no, you can't speak. You can't do anything because now I feel good. Now I'm feeling great. Now I feel better because I've shared how wrong you are and I'm okay. No, I don't want you to tell me back what you are feeling or how it feels to be scapegoated or made wrong, because then you will upset my equilibrium and I just want to feel peaceful. And I want to feel okay. And when I have to process my issues, they make me feel discomfort. And I don't like that, so you're wrong. And the sad thing is they miss out the joy of discovering parts of themselves that are so needing love and care and goodness and kindness and repair. And in doing that, they block all of that inside of themselves. So in doing that, all the things that they resent or they want or they hate, they were taught to hate in their life, they put onto somebody else so that they feel superior and righteous and powerful and peaceful in themselves, because they've just rejected parts of themselves and put it onto somebody else and gone, well, now I feel better about myself. Years ago, I had a friend who suddenly just started being really mean to me out of the blue. And I had utterly no idea why. It was the most weird thing. And years later, he heard that I'd moved to this village and he stood in the middle of the street, or, not the middle, but on the side of the street, hoping that I would drive past. And I did. This is after like 6 years of not seeing him. And he said he was hoping that he'd bump into me to tell me he'd worked out why he had been like that, why he'd scapegoated me. And it was because he was jealous of me, because I do a lot of my own processing and a lot of the work. And so and he was blocked in himself. So he just put the block on me and made me wrong. And it happened too when I was a kid, when I was bullied and made wrong. And the girl was just so happy to put all her insecurities on me, write mean songs about me that she got other people to sing. So they were all friends and buddies bullying somebody else. And it would make me feel awful. At that point, as a little girl, I didn't know how to be resilient. I didn't know what to do. So I just used to hide in the toilets and hope nobody would find me. So people who are scapegoating project the emotions that they don't like onto somebody else, that they don't know how to deal with. And so that's one side of it, is the sort of shadow side of it. The other part of it is that they see somebody who is competent, capable, and taking responsibility. And it brings up these feelings of guilt and shame in them that they are not doing it. So instead of processing the shame and guilt, understanding why they're not taking action, getting clear on what they need to do and growing the skills that they need to do to take the responsibility that they wish they were taking, they make the other person wrong for taking that responsibility. And they blame them. The next thing that where scapegoating happens and why it happens is that if somebody is speaking out and naming these other issues, those issues need to be dealt with and brought to the light. And they don't have the skills, they don't know how to do it. So they will shame the scapegoater for speaking out, whether the scapegoat is setting a boundary or naming something toxic going on. they'll make the person who's bringing it to light go, you shouldn't have spoken. They'll tone police it. You shouldn't have spoken it like that. You shouldn't have done that. You make everybody else uncomfortable. And you're wrong. Instead of going, oh goodness, there's this issue that's making everybody uncomfortable, so let's all deal with this together, because it's really important that we have loving, safe, beautiful environments for us all to thrive in. Another reason why people do it, and I can't see the end of it, like in a family system, as growing up, I was that scapegoat. And it was easier for my family. I was somebody who had special needs galore. So it was easier to call me stupid, dysfunctional, than them face the smallness inside of them that they felt at night. They could shame me for being weird and small to avoid their own weirdness and smallness that they were feeling. And sometimes if you turn around and go, okay, yeah, I've got this issue. I know this issue is me and I'm struggling with it. Then the scapegoater will make you their project. Like if we could just fix you and change you, then we would feel better. But actually the reality is that in a scapegoating dynamic, the scapegoat is denying their issues and just putting it onto the other person. So it will either be, you are wrong. If you admit that you're wrong, we can fix and change you, and then everything will be better. But it never will be, because they're never facing their issues. So, when I was having issues with my mother being emotionally abusive to me, she said to me, why don't I pay for you to go for therapy? Why don't I pay for you to go for meditation so you feel more peaceful? And I said, because I want to be angry, because anger is legitimate, it is healthy, and it is a valid response to the emotional and physical abuse that I've had all my life. And I don't want meditation to make me all calm and peaceful. Right now, I need this rage to have a breakthrough to ensure that I'm treated well. And she said, well, your anger is inappropriate and toxic and unhealthy. And that is often what you get labeled when you are facing issues that, because people don't want to face them, so they'll make you wrong for facing them. So, yeah, okay. And then it could also be because of sibling rivalry. So if there is a child who, they'll make another child wrong because they want to get closer to the parent. Mom, look at them doing this. So one guy who I was speaking to said that he used to annoy go into his brother's room, shout, and like he was being hit, which he wasn't, so that his brother would get into trouble. And then the mother would come and beat the brother, and he would walk away laughing and smiling. And the mother would never believe the boy who was being beaten. She was just saying, you do this all the time, you're the bad one. And then he was promoting that in his own family. It was really toxic to see. And they also will make somebody, if the person who's scapegoating is feeling like a failure in their life and they're not getting traction in their own life, and they see somebody who is getting traction, who is developing in their lives, who's functioning, who's taking responsibility, they make that person wrong because they feel wrong and bad in themselves, and they don't want to face those feelings. So they will just scapegoat them. And they don't do this on purpose. It's really important to realize they don't do this on purpose. They're not bad people. They're doing it because they don't have the skills, whether if they feel like a failure, they don't have the skills to shift out of that and then take action and be proactive. So we will get into that. So I now have gone through what is scapegoating, blaming, taking out all the negative energy on somebody else. Why does it happen? Because people don't have the skills yet to be able to process the things that are going on in themselves, whether it's jealousy, hatred, failure, sibling rivalry, emotions, boundary issues, whatever it might be. So they put it on somebody else and make them wrong for the insecurities and smallness that they feel inside. And they don't do this on purpose. They do it because they're ashamed of themselves, and they scapegoat somebody else, and then they minimize what the other person is experiencing because they don't want to feel guilty. So they'll go, I wasn't doing anything wrong. No, I wasn't doing that. It's all cool. Because they don't want to feel as much shame about it. So we can have compassion for both sides. They're not doing it on purpose, and the scapegoater obviously is going through utter hell being scapegoated. So tomorrow I will come back with the next little installment, and if you can write your questions for the next installment down below, but I've done 20 minutes and I promised they would be shorter, so I'm going to end it now. Oh no, I'm not still talking to my mother. That was years ago. I haven't spoken to my mother for 8 years or something. We'll get into ways to deal with scapegoating, and one of them is to walk away. And I asked in a therapy group, what for anybody else who's scapegoated, what did you do? Maybe 90% of the people who replied said leave. So yeah, so I'm sending you love, and I look forward to our next installment tomorrow. So yes, I think this works well. Little bits to process, and we will speak to you tomorrow. I look forward to seeing you then. All right, love to you. Bye.